Why is it that we lack confidence in our client results? And what is the solution? Well, one of the biggest reasons as to why a lot of hypnotherapists and coaches aren't confident with their results is that throughout their trainings, what they've learned is techniques instead of principles. And what do I mean by that? If you're someone who has learned traditionally, whether it be a diploma or a hypnosis school or even your coaching school, you were taught techniques, right? Like this is what you do to help a client dissolve their limiting beliefs. Either it could in the hypnosis world, we have an induction, we have the deepeners, we have the suggestibility, we have the inner child, we have the regression, we have audios, right? Those individual things are techniques. Now, they're neither right nor wrong, and there is a time and place for them. But what they haven't taught you is what to do if those techniques don't fit the round hole that your client is. And this was a huge problem for me because I was trained traditionally. And a lot of the times, personally, I would have a hard time seeing scenes in a regression. My clients would have a hard time seeing scenes in a regression. And because the method that I used was so into the regression to the root cause, it was very discouraging for me in many ways and also for the clients. And the solution that they gave us was like, well, just give them positive memories or have them come back and listen to a recording for 7 days. I have now then wasted valuable time for that client instead of just helping them right then and there at the present moment because I was told that the regression to root cause is the best way. Let me tell you, it's not. So this is one of the biggest reasons, right? That is one example. Client not seeing scenes in regression and feeling that like dread and that stress of like before the session going, oh my God, please, client, be relaxed enough so that you can regress. So that it can be a better experience for me as a practitioner. That's actually quite the wrong way to be approaching sessions because it's not fucking about us, right? It's about the client in front of us. And so really what a lot of the methods do. And again, it's not right or wrong, but if you're finding yourself that you are not confident in the results that these techniques have shown, and you've learned and noticed that for some clients it's really good, but for some clients it's not, and you're not confident yet. You gotta look at this because you're just gonna spin your wheels around trying to make things work when really what you could just do is have your practice be built on principles instead. What does this mean? A principle means that it is universal for everyone, right? A main principle is that not everyone is the same. Not all symptoms, even though a group of people say have emotional eating problems, each and every single person has a different root cause as to why that is. And based on how their mind and body works, we are not the same. So therefore, just because my niche is emotional eating, it doesn't mean that I'll regress everyone to the root cause and that is what's going to help them solve their problem. That is going against the very principle of everyone is different, right? So therefore, if you go into your sessions with the background and the foundation of everyone is different. This person in front of me is different. Therefore, me preparing something like a regression to help client is very similar to a surgeon going into a surgery assuming that someone needs their appendix out when really they haven't done the investigation to start off with. That just wastes everyone resources, time, and mental and emotional health, right? When really maybe that person's just constipated and needs to take a massive dump, right? And so this is why you want to then switch to an approach that is more principle based. Why? Because then you'll learn how to help your client in front of you instead of the labels, instead of saying all people who have weight loss problems. And some schools teach this. Some schools teach that if someone has weight problems, they have childhood trauma. That's not fucking true. Okay. And so when you get out of that and really just focus your attention on your client, that is what's going to help them achieve the results. Obviously, you need to know what to do in order to do that, right? You need to be able to learn how to ask your questions the right way, what to focus on, and how to ensure that the metric, aka the results, are achieved within your session. This is exactly what the neurosync method and process is all about, getting you away from the techniques that put people in a box. Now, mind you, a lot of the regression that I did with my clients have been quite transformative for them. But at the same time, once you learn that you don't actually need to re-traumatize your client for them to have results, especially when you know how to do somatic processing, which is also what is part of the neurosync process, then you'll be able to be more confident with your results. Because truth of the matter is, the more we put our clients in a box, the more we learn the next technique, whether it's timeline. Timeline is like regression, but with past life. So that's not any different. Like you switching to a regression to a timeline is not going to make you confident. It's the same shit. You're still regressing your client when that client probably does not need to be regressed. You won't know that until you investigate, right? In the medical world, if there is a diagnosis that they don't know, they will say open up the abdomen for something, and they will investigate to see what is actually happening in the abdomen before they have the treatment for the solution, right? You have to investigate first. And if you don't know this very foundational skill, that's why you're not confident. And again, this is not a bad thing. This is really not your fault, because traditional trainings do not teach this basic information. But it is your responsibility to do better, right? Because extraordinary practitioners always strive to get better. And so how are you going to then switch to being more principle approach and being completely client centered? Can you just imagine the benefits that this will have for your clients? They don't feel the need to perform for the client. They don't need to feel that pressure. I also was feeling that I was pressuring my client to find a scene. And that just didn't really feel good to me. And being on the other side as well, as someone who does not do scenes very well, me be like, I made shit up. Like that's what I did. I made scenes up, or sometimes like I would go into practice sessions and I would think of scenes that I think are related to my problem. That's not transformational for me, nor my client, nor the therapist, right? Like that is just a huge fucking mess that is unnecessary if we had just stuck to principles. And so that is my soapbox for today. What are your thoughts? And honestly, once you switch into principles, your whole practice is going to transform. The stress you'll feel is going to be so much less, and your transformations are going to be next level because you're not using the same shit as everyone else.